let you ask any questions of us that you may have in relation to support at home. We're going to go through just a bit of housekeeping before we kick off. If you have any questions during the webinar, you all know from answering the questions of where you are, where that chat bot is, or that chat screen is. What I could do, if I could ask you to write your questions into the chat box, Sally and I, at the end of the webinar, will then circle back and we'll answer as many of those questions as we can. So yeah, that'd be great if you can just drop your questions in there. We'll come back and answer them. Hopefully this is a great educational webinar for you, and hopefully we can answer your questions. So I'm going to kick off first by doing the acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and we extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. I'm going to pass over to Sally. Here's just a run through of what we're going to run through today. So what is support at home? What's changing? The impact on Mable, approving or rejecting support hours, FAQs, and then, as we mentioned, that Q&A at the end of the session. I'm going to pass over to Sally now, who'll run you through what is support at home.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today on this slightly cloudy Tuesday in Sydney. Hopefully it's a bit nicer weather where some of you all are today. So hopefully you've heard us talk a little bit about support at home. We have covered it in some of our newsletters, and we've done some video content on it as well. So hopefully you know a little bit, but don't worry if you don't, because we're actually going to dive in. We're going to go through everything that you need to know. So yeah, let's get into it. So what is support at home? So it was devised in response to the Royal Commission into Aged Care Quality and Safety, and it's the new government programme, and it's actually launching on the 1st of November, so this Saturday. So everyone's very busy getting organised for it, and it's just rolling together some of the ways that some of the ways people could receive funding for in-home care. So it's rolling together the home care package program and the short-term restorative care program. It's also bringing together the Commonwealth Home Support Program in the following year as well. So it's bringing together all of these systems, and it's just aiming to create a more flexible, personalised and supportive system for in-home aged care, which we can all agree is a very good thing. It's also going to improve the accuracy of client contributions and make details about what services have been provided more transparent. So let's look at what the changes are. So for clients, there are some quite big changes. So the first one is around funding levels. So under the home care package program, there were 4 funding levels. That has now extended out to 8, which we'll go through shortly. Budgets used to be given annually. They're now going to be assigned quarterly. Contributions, this just means that some people may have to contribute to some of the services that they receive. We'll again go through this one in a lot more detail. Care management fees. So this is how much money a support at home provider can charge to help you with your support at home package. It's actually now capped at 10%. It used to be some people are charging up to 20 or 30%, so now it's capped at 10%. And there's some changes to service types as well, which we will go through. So funding levels. So as I mentioned, there used to be 4 funding levels, and this has now extended out to 8. Budgets are assigned quarterly, and you can see if you just look at the annual budget now that it's up to $77,709. It used to be only up to $61,500, so it has extended, which is a good thing. And once someone has an assessment, they are assigned a level based on their needs. So the higher needs that someone has, then the higher funding level that they are given. So once somebody has been approved for a support at home package, you receive a notice of decision, and then you get a support plan, which you can work with your support at home provider to action. Just a little terminology reminder, Mable actually isn't a support at home provider. So that's an organization that would oversee a participant's budget or help assign services. So we actually don't have function, but we are a digital platform provider that people use to access support workers. So it's slightly different terminology. So when I do say support at home provider, that's the person that helps you spend your budget and allocate your services. For most questions around things like your budget or your level or how you're spending, that really is your first point of contact, because Mable don't really have access to your care plan. So we can't actually help you with kind of questions around the nuances of that. The stuff we can very much help you with is finding you a great support worker who really understands you and who you love having around your house to help you. So there you go. So as I mentioned, budgets are now going to be assigned quarterly, dependent on your funding classification. Then you work with your support at home provider to choose how you spend that budget and the services that you've been approved to receive. You can only carry over $1,000 or 10% each quarter. So that's why it's good to make sure that you're spending your budget. You're not, it's not being utilized. So just make sure that, yeah, you're spending as much as you can, so that you're not having, you can only, because you can't carry over very much now. So one of the differences is around contributions. So people now have to contribute to the services that they receive. The level of the contribution depends on quite a different things. So it can depend on the types of services that are received, someone's pension status. This is assessed by Services Australia. There's 3 types of categories, which I'm actually going to show you on the next slide so that you can see. So there's not contributions for each category, but in the independence and everyday living, they're the ones that people have to contribute towards or may have to contribute towards. It does depend on someone's pension status. And then also, as I mentioned, care management fees, they're now capped at 10%. So that's actually mandated by the government now, and all providers have to abide by that 10% cap. There's also a concept called grandfathering. And so this is something that it all depends when you received your home care package. So if you received your home care package before the 12th of September 2024, then you are grandfathered into support at home. So you move to a transitional level, and it provides the same level of funding that you're already on. There's also something called the no worse off principle for people who have been grandfathered. So that means that you won't receive less funding. If you're grandfathered, the amount that you have to contribute will stay the same. So if someone had to pay an income tested care fee, then you may have to contribute to the services that you receive. But if you didn't pay a ITCF, then you do not need to contribute to support at home. And this, I think, will illustrate it a little bit more easily. So on the left, you can see the contribution categories. So we have clinical supports as the first one, and that covers things like allied health and therapeutic services and nursing care. And you can see on the right that that has a 0% contribution. So all of those services are covered fully from your budget. Then the next category is independence. So this is services such as personal care, social support and community engagement, and transport. And then depending on your pension status, you may need to contribute between 5 and 50% there. So for example, a full pensioner will contribute 5% towards the cost of independent services, while someone who is self-funded without a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card will have to contribute 50%. Then the final one is everyday living, and this covers more services around the house, such as domestic assistance, home maintenance and repairs, and meals. And the contributions can vary between 17.5% and 80%. So you can find your contribution levels on your support plan, and your support at home provider will also be able to assist you with details around how much you would need to contribute to services. So with all of these changes, what does this mean for Mable? So we have launched a new feature that changes the way support workers have to log their hours. This means the knock-on effect of that is that there's changes in the way that you approve or reject hours. And this becomes mandatory from the 1st of November, because support workers now need to specify the services they've provided during each session and the time they spent on each service. This means there'll be an itemised list of support hours that show you the services that were provided and for how long. And now you can approve this all in one go, or you can reject each services and session individually if you need to. Damien's going to give you very detailed instructions on how to do that one in a minute as well. So we've just put in a little screenshot of the invoices, because of all these changes to contributions and service categories, etc., we have had to change the way our invoices look. They don't look that different, but what they do now is they will split out every service that was provided in your session. It will outline the time that was spent on it and a rate for that session, and that will mean that your support at home provider will be able to work out code contributions. So that's all the role of the support at home provider. Mable isn't involved with any of the collecting of co-contributions or anything like that. That's all the support at home provider. Okay, Damien, now over to you. You're going to talk through how to approve or reject support hours.
Thanks, Sally. How to approve or reject support hours. Similarly to how you currently review your support hours, you'll receive an email letting you know when a support worker has submitted hours for you to review. There'll also be a notification on your dashboard. So as you can see here on the screen, we've got the app. So you've got a view and approve hours button there on the app, where you can click that and it'll go to the invoice that you're looking to approve. And then on the dashboard, again, you've got where you see that support hours. If you click on that support hours, it'll bring up any invoices that are waiting to be approved. So you can review your support hours in the support hours section on the dashboard. Now, when you click on that support hours, just to note that it automatically filters to show the pending support hours that you have. You can remove this filter to see all your support hours. So you can see we've circled that filtered section on the screen there. If you click that, you can remove that filter, and then all of the support hours will show. The next thing that you can do when you've got your support hours there, you can choose to approve a whole session by clicking the approve button there. Or you do now have the option, because your support worker has listed out all of the services that they provided in the session, you could go in and review that the support hours, and you can approve or reject each of the services individually. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you choose to approve or reject services individually, you'll be brought up a screen which looks similar to this. Now, as you can see here, we've got a list of services that the support worker has provided. So we've got social support, we've got housework, we've got meal preparations. So what you can do is you can individually go through and either approve or reject any of those services that are seen there. Because you've selected to view all of them, you do need to go through each individual one and approve or reject. So if you're happy with the specific service, the support hours logged by your support worker, you can select approve. If you are not happy with a specific service or support hours logged by your support worker, you can simply click on the reject button. Now, once you have reviewed all your services on the invoice, what you can do is then you need to click on confirm selection, and then payment will be processed for the approved support hours that you have approved. If, however, you rejected one or more of the services, a badge will appear under each rejected service. Again, you click on confirm selections. And just when there's a rejected service in there, you'll be asked to confirm your rejection. A pop-up box will come up and it'll say, just confirming you wish to reject that selection. If you are wanting to do that, you hit confirm selections. If you potentially think, oh, hang on, I've made an error here, and you want to go back and change that, you can hit go back, and then you can amend and approve that's part of the invoice of the service that you rejected. Some tips here. If you are rejecting a support worker, if you're rejecting a support worker, if you are rejecting a service from a support worker, what we highly recommend is that you get in contact with them and just let them know why you are rejecting it. This way they know what changes need to be made before resubmitting for you to review again. It's really important to know that by rejecting a service, you will delay the payment for that part of the service. If there are other services in the session that you approve, the payment for them will continue on as normal. It will only be that rejected service where the payment will, that service will need to be fixed up and approved before that part of the invoice will be paid. I have Sally who will talk to us about our support worker competency training.
Thanks, Damien. So the government has now mandated that anybody who supports somebody with aged care government funding has to take some additional competency training. So we will be rolling this out to support workers in the new year. There's 5 topics that they need to learn more about. So person-centered rights-based care, culturally safe, trauma-aware and healing-informed care, caring for individuals living with dementia, responding to medical emergencies, and requirements of the Code of Conduct, Serious Incident Reporting Scheme, and the quality standards. So there's quite a bit on there that they need to learn, and with lots of support workers on the platform. We do have something called the Mable Learning Hub. So we will be adding that training to our Mable Learning Hub, and all support workers have access to that. They can just navigate to our training platform through their dashboard. Once they have done the courses, which takes about 2 hours, they receive a certificate. They send it into our support team. Our support team gives them a badge that they add that adds to their profile, and then they can continue to support you. They have to do this training by June 2026, because if they haven't done that training, then unfortunately they're not able to support people who receive aged care government funding. So we will be doing everything we can to encourage support workers to do this training. We are doing lots of training with support workers on this whole new system and teaching them about support at home as well, and we're getting a huge amount of interest in it all. So we're very confident that support workers will do the training that they need to do. Should we jump into some frequently asked questions?
I think that would be a great way to go. We've had a chat with our team on the phones, and these and what we've been hearing when we do our expos. And so we've just listed out a few of FAQs of the most commonly asked questions that we get, and maybe this will answer some of your questions. If not, we've still at the end we'll go through any questions that you have as well. So question number 1, I've accidentally approved hours that were wrong. How do I fix this? If you accidentally approved hours and the session status is invoice pending, you can ask your support worker to edit and resubmit the support hours. If the session, however, has already been invoiced, contact us so we can help you. And we've got a screen a bit later on which has got all of it, how you can contact Mable if you need any assistance.
And, we understand this is a new system. We understand it's a bit complicated. It's going to take a bit of time for everyone to get their heads around, and that's support workers as well as you guys as well. So, this is why we are doing all this training, and this is why everyone's going to be very understanding if there's mistakes made in the beginning, so it's all fine. The next question is, my support worker is not logging their hours using the new system. What should I do? Well, tut tut, naughty support workers. So if you receive support at home funding, then your support workers must log their hours using the new system. If they're not, then you should talk to them, and you can talk about the services that were provided in the session, and then make it easier for them to do that, to make sure that they're doing it. If you have spoken to them and they're still not doing it, then by all means let us know, and we can have that conversation with the support worker as well, because if you do receive that funding, then it's a mandatory requirement that they do that. And I'm actually going to show you a slide later as well that shows that if you don't do it, the cost implications it can have for you. If you do not receive support at home funding yet, so potentially you're paying privately, or you're on a different funding scheme, it is optional at the moment, but have that discussion with your support worker, because it can be quite useful to use this new system, because number one, it just details more accurately what has happened in that session, and also it's good for support workers sometimes if they charge different rates. So potentially if it's an overnight shift, it means there's different prices for the support during the night and then in the morning, and it just means that the support worker can then more accurately get paid and have those different rates included in that session.
Can I ask my support worker to select a service with a lower contribution rate?
Nice try.
Nice try. Unfortunately, the answer is no, you cannot do this. Your support worker should always detail the exact services they provided as accurately as possible. Yeah, no cheating the system, unfortunately.
Now, this is a tricky one, and I do anticipate we will have this one occasionally. So my support worker can't remember what services they provided in a session. What should we do? So yes, it may be a little bit difficult in the beginning, but they really should try and record the services as accurately as possible. So have a discussion together, see if between the two of you, you can remember what happened, and then fill it out as best as you can. To avoid this happening again, it's really important that they submit their support hours right after a session, so the information is really fresh in their mind. If it's not possible, they could note down the services they provided in a notebook or on their phone, for instance. And we actually do have a new support worker app, and we have a feature called Check In, Check Out. And so that actually enables them to go through and detail what's happening on that support session as they go.
Should my support worker charge for the time it takes to submit hours? Ideally, your support workers should submit their support hours and session notes promptly after finishing your session. They may charge you for this time as they only take a few minutes to complete. If unsure, have a discussion with your support worker to ensure you're both on the same page.
Will these changes cause payment delays? Well, we do sincerely hope not, but this is a huge industry-wide government change. So the whole aged care system, like every provider, every organisation that receives aged care funding, is having to comply with these changes. So we do anticipate that there may be some impact to support home providers' payment systems. So we have worked very closely with our partners, and we have, so all the changes that we have had to make around our new way to log support hours, the way our invoices have changed. We have worked in collaboration with all of our partners so that they have seen the invoices, their systems are prepped, they're ready to receive them. So we have done a lot on our behalf, but we do anticipate some providers may have a few issues. So we hope not, but we'll be working very closely. Our payments team will be reaching out to all of our provider partners just to try and proactively manage any payment issues that may be coming up. So we do have 7-day payment terms, so they do remain. We are hopeful that there won't be delays, but we are realistic as well that this is the biggest change the industry has gone through in a very long time. So there's a few things that you can do just to try and help minimize any funding issues as well. So we recommend that you familiarize yourself with your care plan and just make sure that you have funding for all the services you have in agreements with your current Mable support workers, just so there's no risk of funding running out or funding not being there for services that you still wish to receive. You can have a chat with your support at home provider if you're not sure about your care plan or what's detailed in there. And also just encourage your support worker to log their hours and services immediately so there's no delays. And also you can encourage them to just make sure that they're really providing accurate support notes and that they are taking the time to detail what's happened in that session so that it's there won't be any delays on that one as well.
So as I mentioned earlier, there are 3 ways that you can reach out for support and contact Mable. So we've got our phones, a team who are able to assist. So you can contact them on 1300 736573. Now they're open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now that's Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So if you're in a different part of the country, just adjust your times to that. We do have a live chat on our website, so you can go to the Mable website. And again, that live chat is monitored again from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Also on our website, we have our help centre. So we've got helpful articles that cover lots of things to do with support at home, articles on platform updates and anything that you may need to know. You can log on to our help centre and look at the blogs or news articles that have been posted there. And I think the key thing for a message from us is that we here at Mable are here to support you through this transition. As Sally said, it's the biggest change in the industry for a quite significant time. So we know that there's going to be some questions. You may need some assistance. So please reach out. We're here to help.
All right, let's have a look at some of these questions. So just going to answer what oh, I saw a really good one there. Oh, yes. So Rebecca Jane asked, she said, all the questions are really pertinent. Can you add answers to these questions with the recording of the video? So yes, we can do that, Rebecca Jane. So what we'll be doing is we'll be sending it out tomorrow, a recording of this. I'm sure we can add the FAQs to the page where we send it out as well, just to help you guys with all of that. I reckon we go right up to the top of all those questions, see if we can find out.
So we've got a question here from Kerry. How can I contact Mable without long waits? If I'm on a level 3 home care package, what funding level will I be converted to once I transition to the support at home? For instance, level 3 or level 4. It's a great question. What you'll need to look at, and I can't answer that question directly to you, but based on the no worse off principle, if you're currently on level 3 and the new level 3 is lower than what you're currently on, you'll be on level 4 because you will be no worse off. So understanding on what current level you are, and then looking at the new levels where there are 8. Sally might just jump back to those.
Yes.
Sorry.
You can flick through, yep.
So yeah, so just have a look at what you currently have with your home care package, and then look at, so if you're currently on level 3, again, I don't have the current levels there, but if, for example, your annual budget for level 3 currently is, let's say, 23,000, then you won't go to the current level 3 because you'd be worse off with that one. You'd go to level 4 because you wouldn't be worse off. Again, follow up with your home care provider, and they'll be able to give you the exact answer, but just remember that no worse off principle.
There's a good question from Michelle here. So she says, our provider seems very slow at paying, e.g. an invoice submitted by Mable at the start of October was not paid until last night. So yes, that is quite a long time. Can that be accelerated? Workers need to be paid promptly. Yes, we do agree. So once an invoice is 21 days overdue, then it becomes, then our finance team do start following up on a support worker's behalf. And so our team will, they got on the phone, they sent emails. So they do that on the support worker's behalf. We do work closely with providers. And so we are trying to obviously reduce the friction and make sure that workers' payments aren't held up, because it does, it does cause people a lot of stress to do that. Yes, so Simon asked, will invoices be processed on Wednesdays, as is the case at present? So yes, that will stay the same at the moment, but we are actually rebuilding the whole of our payment systems, because they were built, well, we've been around for 10 years now, so our payment systems have been around for a very long time, and as we've grown, we know that we're investing a lot of money to rebuild them, and our aim is to have much quicker payments to Nicole has asked us, will you be providing webinars for support workers? We definitely are. We have 5, so we're doing them at all different times across the week, so that we can also get support workers up to speed as best we can. We have created some video content as well, so that they can refer back, they can check in, make sure they're doing it, and we also have lots of help articles as well. So we are doing everything we can to try and train people as much as we can. We held a webinar yesterday, and we had over 1,000 people registered for support workers. So as we said, there is a big interest, and people are definitely are very keen to learn this new content.
Oh, I say one from Nicole. I just want to check that if my mother has not been paying any co-payments, she will not be required to pay for any services from 1st of November. Nicole, without going into the full details, it depends on whether if she currently isn't paying any contributions, then with the switch to support at home, she will not pay any contributions.
Would it just depend the date that she received her home care package? So if she received her home care package before the 12th of September 2024,
yes,
then she would not have to, unless she was paying the income tested care fee. But as she's not, then no, she wouldn't have to. Anne had a good question around, are we going to have access to the competency training so we can see how our support workers are being trained? We wouldn't be giving access to clients that use the platform. It would only be to support workers. But if this is something that's of interest to people, then we can provide more detail on the content in there as well. It's to the aged care standards, but we're proud of this training, and we think it's very robust. So we'd be very happy to include more information. The best way to get information from Mable and to kind of find out what's happening is our newsletters, which we send out monthly. We send them on the 2nd week of the month. So we do recommend that you do read the newsletters that we send. We have been covering some support at home topics, and I think that's a great suggestion to do more detail on the competency training. So I will make sure that we get there. So we have a question here from T. Whipley. He says, what happens to the time period of the rejected service? Can you leave the service type even though the service wasn't provided, but the support worker still remained? What impact will this have on payment and funding? So I think what you're meaning there is, so say there's 3 services that a support worker has provided in a session, and you reject one of those services, but the other 2 still go ahead. So that means that those 2 services that were approved will be processed in the normal way, and the support worker will receive the payment for those 2 services in the usual time frame. But that rejected service, they will get a notification that has been rejected, and then they will go back and and resubmit that section of the support session. And once that has been resubmitted and approved, it will then get paid in the usual process as well.
Just to jump in on that second part, can you leave the service type even though that service wasn't provided? You need to be very clear with the services that are provided that are part of your care plan, because if they add a service that potentially is not on your care plan, then that service won't be approved when your provider sends it through. So it's really important that all of the services that are outlined on each of the invoices are the services that have been provided and align with your care plan that you have with your provider.
Yeah. We have a good question from Sandra here. So Sandra wants to know why the changes to reject and approve of services is being implemented. Well, it's actually the government that are making all of these changes. So they are changing the way that care funding is being allocated to people, and they are mandating that people have to co-contribute, and that people also have to split out the services that they have provided in a session. So that's really why it's happening. It's across the industry, so it's not a Mable thing, it is an industry-wide thing. So all support workers across the industry will be having to do a similar thing. Dorothy had a question on grandfathering, so I might just go back to our grandfathering slide. Just to remind you, so yeah, it's very much around the date that you received your home care package. So if it was before the 12th of September 2024, then you're grandfathered into support at home. The no worse off principle stands, so it means that you don't receive less funding, and that it's unlikely that you would have to contribute to your services unless you currently pay an income tested care fee. Simon has asked, will support workers still have a minimum number of characters to describe services provided, the notes, and will they have this minimum for each service? So it's not on a service level that they have to do the support notes, Simon. That's a good question. What they do is they log their different services, and then they do one set of support notes for the whole session. And there is a minimum number of characters that they have to do. And that's just because it's a very important it's a legal document, really, what happened during that support session. It's very important for people to know what happened, if there are any issues, or how the client was feeling, etc. So that's why we do have that minimum, because we just need to have that information and just make sure that everything happened. Rebecca Jane has a question that if you are on a level 5 package and you do not consistently use your full quarterly funding, will you be reduced to a lower level fund? That's a question for your support at home provider, Rebecca Jane. I'm sorry, that's not something that we're able to answer, so we'd recommend giving them a call. And
probably what we can say to that, Rebecca, is understanding what your quarterly funding is and what you can carry over on a quarterly basis now, which is 10% of your budget or $1,000, whichever is the greater. So, but again, just have a discussion with your provider. But yeah, it's an understanding of what you can now carry over each quarter, which is slightly different to how home care packages currently are.
And maybe book some more support workers. If you're not using all of your funding and there's more things that you'd like to do, well, then that's a great opportunity to book in some more support and get some more help around the home. Linda has asked if we can supply a list of preferred service providers who provide self-managed services. I need to change providers, and I don't know who to work best with Mable. Well, we do have a support at home provider within the same group as Mable, which is called Homemade. So I'd highly recommend checking out Homemade. Is there any way to contact Mable without long wait times? So as we mentioned, live chat's always a good option. So that is that's stuff by real people. So there's no AI, is there anything like that? So if you are finding it hard to get through to us on the phone, then you can just hop on live chat, and it's always shorter wait times, and it is quicker to get doing that. Simon has asked whether the service dissections will be audited and the notes, etc. And that is true. So a support at home provider will be audited, and part of that audit could include this information. That's why it's very important to us that support workers fill out all of this information as accurately as possible. How are we going for time?
We're good for time. Gwen, I know you raised your hand, and I think I saw this question, so I don't want to pass over it. What does home maintenance cover? So this is the AHTM scheme, is that correct?
I think by home maintenance, she means, should we just go to this one? This home maintenance and repairs? Is this line that you're referring to, Gwen? I think it's more that.
Oh, okay.
So it's what services can you receive for home maintenance and repairs? And so that's like light handyman work and light repairs and things like that.
Yeah, like lawn mowing and stuff like that. Would that be covered under that?
Yeah.
Okay. Does the quarterly funding commence in accordance with the calendar year, or does it start when you become eligible? Good question. Everyone, the quarterly starts from the 1st of November for anyone who is currently already on a home care package and switching to support at home. Yeah, that's a question you probably need to speak to your provider in relation to when you are approved for funding, when that quarter starts. Yeah, unfortunately, sorry, I don't have a definitive answer for that one.
We can get back to you on that one. Anne Hooper has said, I am not getting the newsletters. How do I subscribe? Well, that's a good, you should automatically be subscribed to our newsletters. I just wonder, have you maybe unsubscribed in the past?
We can look into that.
Yeah, I'll take your name and we can see if we can find that one out for you and get you subscribed.
What does a question from Peter? Oh, you might need to scroll back up. There was a question from Peter there around the 10%.
We might just go back to that one in a second. Whereas Trish has asked, can clients participate in the webinar for carers? Keen to understand the process of service breakdown. So Trish, it is open only to support workers, but what we have done is we have created some video assets, which we do have listed on our website. So you're very welcome to watch that video. If you go to our help center, you can just if you type in support hours, then the pages will come up and you can just pick the page that shows the support hour video, and then you can take a look at that one.
Is the new system going to cause problems? Gwen, that's a great question. And I think we'll know more on Saturday. Mable has been working with our home care provider, Homemade. We've been working diligently over the last probably year to get things ready for the launch of Support at Home. We feel confident that we have things in place for the changeover. However, until Saturday comes around,
Yes.
we won't know exactly, but we feel confident that we're ready.
Super Saturday.
Super Saturday. That's lovely.
Well, look, Mable is very prepared. All of our systems are ready. We are hoping that there aren't many problems. Like, we have lots of team members ready to support. But I think whenever there is a big change, a big system change across the industry, I think we have to really realistically anticipate that there will be some teething problems, and we'll do our best to minimize them as we go.
you?
I think we've answered most of these questions. I think I'm not really getting what happens? So here's a question from Ray, which is quite an interesting one, is what happens if the support worker spends most of the time being on standby to provide help with, i.e. help with movement, eating, etc. And really standing around. So Ray, that is a really good question. And I think what we really encourage is just having a really open relationship with your support worker. So if you feel that they are standing around too much and that they are not helping you as much as you would like, just talk to them about it. You know, be really open. You can say it in a respectful way, but you can just say, hey, while you're waiting to help me, I'd really like it if you could be tidying, or you could be doing something like this. And I think that's a really nice way of, you know, having a respectful conversation, but just also letting them know that you're not feeling like they're supporting you quite in the in the way that you would like. Kay has asked, is there anywhere on the system where we can see expenditure dates? It would be useful to keep track of your quarterly budget. So again, that would be your support at home provider. There isn't anything within Mable because we don't actually have access to your
care plan.
Yeah, we don't actually have access to your care plan, but your support at home provider should have those tools. I know that Homemade definitely have those tools. Even Mable expenditure would be helpful. Well, Kate, that's a great suggestion, and I will suggest that to our product team. If you ever have any information, like if you ever want to request a product upgrade or a change to the system, you can always contact us and our team will log those changes that you would like. And then we have a big system where we look at all of our user feedback, we see what trends are emerging, and it really does help to shape the products that we go on to develop. So by all means, please do contact us and let us know what changes you would like, and then we can make sure. I do feel like we've covered everything that we can cover.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we might end this now. What we will do, as we said, is we will share the recording and we will be sending out a feedback form tomorrow. So let us know if you've got any more questions or anything else that you would like help with, and have a great rest of day.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.